try to give him to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career.
Took the weight, the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that,
Spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's gonna be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and
Roy Jones Jr. believes Canelo Alvarez cannot survive against Terence Crawford, citing a lack of energy and sharpness that Canelo once had. He expressed disappointment at Canelo's current state, questioning why he appears diminished at this stage of his career. In contrast, Jones praised Crawford's determination, focus, and elite skill set.
All be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch. And what I'm seeing is I see a hungry Crawford, a Crawford that has been looking for the opportunity for a long time, finally getting the opportunity, and really ready to grab the opportunity. And with Canelo, I see a guy who not necessarily hungry, but loves to entertain, loves to give us the big fights. Always tries to give the big fights. He finds a way to give us big fights. Not gonna always win them, but he always tries to give them to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career. I don't know. It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch.
You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter.
He emphasized that weight difference will not play a deciding role because Crawford's technique, timing, and ring IQ can neutralize any size advantage. According to Jones, facing a fighter as skilled and relentless as Crawford will expose Canelo's current limitations, making the matchup far more dangerous than many anticipate. Roy Jones warns that if Canelo enters the fight with an overconfident mindset, believing victory over Terence is certain, he risks a harsh reality check. Jones emphasizes that underestimating Terrence's skill and strategy could lead Canelo facing a tough and potentially punishing defeat in the ring. Olympic boxer Omari Jones has openly expressed his belief that Terence Crawford will come out victorious against Canelo Alvarez.
the grit and like me personally meeting Crawford several times, it's like the man is just so competitive. It's like I don't even have to say nothing to him. He'll just like, man, when we sparring, it's like his competitiveness is always gonna put him over the edge, and then he just has that like, I'm not gonna let you bully me, or his skill set. And it, I know they talk about Charlo when Charlo moved up, but I feel like it may be a little bit different for Canelo this time around because Crawford took the weight, the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that, it's a win-win. So
So,
I'm gonna rock out with
so,
that.
so you don't think Crawford, gaining that weight, because I saw him, he's pretty big. You don't
Yes.
think that's going to be a disadvantage for him in this fight?
According to Jones, Crawford's weight gain for this fight is unlike the usual approach taken by fighters moving up in divisions. Instead of adding size recklessly, Crawford has approached the process with careful planning and precise execution. Jones explained that Crawford has maintained his speed and agility by incorporating the right diet and conditioning routines, while putting in the hard work necessary to compete at a higher weight class.
Um, you know, the nutrition, the like I said, the training. Crawford, he trains hard. So I feel like I know they say he probably went up to like 185, so he has to lose that weight. But I think if he did it the right way, which I know he did, he'll be successful in September.
And I know you, like we discussed earlier, we talked with your pro debut, and now you're 3-0. Your last fight, July 19th against Blanco, and it was actually your third win by knockout.
Yes.
Super proud of you. How are you feeling about your pro career so far?
I'm feeling great about my pro career. I definitely feel like it's off to a great start. My pro debut, in my hometown, and then I was my second fight, Atlantic City on the Boots card, and then my third fight on the Bam Rodriguez undercard. So Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, they're putting me on these cards, shining light on me, giving me the TV time.
This methodical preparation, Jones believes, makes the matchup more of a win-win situation for Crawford. Even if the physical challenge of facing a bigger opponent is real, the skills, discipline, and commitment Crawford is showing will allow him to adapt effectively. Jones points out that Crawford is not just adding weight for the sake of size. He is enhancing his body to carry that weight efficiently without losing the qualities that make him so dangerous in the ring.
No, I mean, listen, let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's going to be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him. Good old Manny Pacquiao did the same thing, So there's times where it affects, and there's times where I guess if you put it on the right way. Only Crawford knows it because the way he's training, right? Because you're going to be sparring with this added weight. You're going to be doing the boxing training with this added weight. So you're going to know how to, maybe taper it down if you need to, or keep it going if you need to. I think over the course of camp, if you start to feel too yoked up and, you get big, and then, you're sacrificing reflexes, you're sacrificing athleticism.
For Jones, this fight is a showcase of a disciplined athlete pushing himself to new limits and proving his ability to rise to the occasion against one of boxing's most formidable champions. Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi has taken note of Crawford's transformation, particularly his physical size going into this bout. Malignaggi observed that Crawford appears significantly larger, but he views this as a major advantage rather than a liability. In his view,
but also Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford. But John Ruiz is not Canelo Alvarez. So that's another aspect of that comparison. And yes, exactly what the champ said, exactly what Abel Sanchez said, you're going to put on weight. You're going to be a different fighter. And I can say this even as a fighter as myself. As I've gotten heavier in my retirement, I try and move around the gym. It just feels different. And even when you start camp, you feel different in the beginning than you do at the end. But listen, we're still 4 or 5 weeks away. I don't know exactly what Terence is weighing right now. And even if he does say what he weighs, man, he's gone out there and said he's weighed, all types of crazy numbers just to get people to get media to respond. So it's really not really going to know until the fight and we see these guys next to each other. He might look bigger right now, but he might not.
Crawford has managed to increase his mass without sacrificing the quickness, footwork, and timing that have defined his career. Malignaggi explained that many fighters who move up in weight tend to lose their sharpness, becoming slower and less mobile. Crawford, however, appears to have struck the perfect balance.
Crawford.
Best defense.
Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo. And earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off.
Gaining the strength and durability required to face a naturally larger opponent like Canelo while maintaining the agility needed to execute his style. Malignaggi credits Crawford's professionalism and attention to detail in training, noting that the physical growth appears to complement his existing skill set. In short, Malignaggi believes Crawford will be able to perform at his peak despite the jump in weight, and could even benefit from the added power when facing Canelo's pressure-renowned boxing analyst Max Kellerman has offered a sharp technical breakdown of the matchup between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez.
And was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. a great chin. But in terms of if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton.
Kellerman emphasized that Crawford's jab has become one of the most precise and effective weapons in the sport today. It is fast, well-timed, and capable of controlling the rhythm of a fight. While Canelo once possessed a similarly sharp jab earlier in his career, Kellerman noted that it has diminished in recent years. This difference gives Crawford a clear advantage in terms of range control and point scoring. Beyond the jab, Kellerman pointed to Crawford's tactical intelligence.
With this one specifically, it ain't just about being smart. He knows he has to look like he's never looked before, because again, if he doesn't and he beats Canelo, everybody's just gonna say, well, that's Crawford, so I think he knows that this is the performance of a lifetime and everything has to look right. He knows in order for it to look right, he can't just go out there and let the dog go. The dog is, he got to work his way up to the dog. Yeah. Hey, show the clip real quick. I don't know if you showed it already, but this is the dog you're talking about right here, right? And so I pulled this clip right here. I seen it on social media this morning.
Don't do that. That's what I'm saying.
And I pulled this clip, right? But this is Terence.
That's who he is.
He's not gonna swing on Canelo. He already know that part of the game. But what I asked you, were you ever trying to send a message to your opponents? He's letting you know, and it's no act. And that's what I really wanted to show, that's not an act.
No.
That's not, there's 30 security guards.
I don't know, it feels a little contrived.
You think so?
I think a lot of people feel it's a little
Well, I'm glad you used the big word that most of us don't know.
Hey, I don't fight as good as you guys. I had to learn some big words, right, to make up for that.
Don't look it up. Just ignore what
you need big words to get out of fights. You need big words to get out of fights. But okay. So case in point, our guy Hafey, sitting right there, producer extraordinaire. He had a picture of Terence Crawford in New York for the Crawford Spence press conference. And there was this look, when Terence, he gave this look to Spence that reminded me of like Dwight Muhammad Qawi and a young George Foreman.
Describing him as a fighter who makes adjustments in real time and exploits openings that others cannot see. He contrasted this with Canelo's reliance on his natural size, strength, and power, which often allows him to dominate smaller opponents. In Kellerman's view, if Crawford can neutralize Canelo's forward momentum and force him into a thinking match, the tactical battle will heavily favor Crawford. This combination of technical precision and fight IQ is, in Kellerman's opinion, one of Crawford's greatest assets going into this clash.